a large collection of Morphe brushes, and I do love what they have. Down into collections and face versus eye brushes, and I have a lot of them, so get yourself comfortable or move around the video to kind of get what you want, because I think this is going to be a long one. So let's get started with the face brushes because I have a lot of eye brushes. So let's get started with the ones that I have least of. So they're dirty, so I'm very sorry about that because I didn't expect to do this video today, but I found some time and energy, so I went ahead and did it for you guys. So the first one is my foundation brush, and I love this one. This is an Elite collection, so it's the E44, and it's flat. It curves a little bit, so it's sorry, it's not as flat as it can be, but it is domed a little bit, so I shouldn't say flat, but it's a kabuki brush, and it's pretty big. So one thing that I like to do is I want to hold it up against my face so you guys kind of see how it looks against a face, because I feel like sometimes that helps a lot with how these brushes look. So it's covering, you know, most of my face, so I love this brush. It does not shed. It's wonderful. It washes, and it's very sturdy. Ferrule is sturdy on it, so love that. Next, so this was an older Elite collection, and so is this one, and this is the E3. You can use this in many different ways. So I used to use this as blush, so it will apply the brush very nicely. It's beautifully you know, whatever, structured. It's super soft. It is tapered, so as you can see, there's like these little, you know, short bristles, and then it gets longer in the middle. So I used to use this as as blush, and then recently I switched over to using it for powder because I haven't found a powder brush that I love. So this has been my powder, and this is how I use it, just to kind of tap. It's just beautiful. It's, you know, it's dense enough and it's fluffy enough to get all the areas that I want. I feel like I have not a smaller face, but as you can see, I have a smaller forehead, so I can't use a big fluffy brush for powder. I need something that's on the smaller side. So if you have like a smaller face, I think the E3 is gonna work for you nicely. So I love that, and that's from the older one. They have the new one, which is I think this is the color of the bristles, and I feel, you know, I think the feel is probably better on these because this is like the new formulation of these brushes, but you know, this is how it's gonna look, not as light like that one. Next, we'll get into this. So this is a new buy for me. This is the E53. I film at night, and I feel like I'm like sleeping when I'm filming for you guys, so I'm really sorry. E53. So to compare it to this brush, it's a baby one, and to compare it to the next one that I want to talk about, that's the E48, and that's like the baby one. So the smallest, bigger, and biggest. So we talked about that one, and then I'll talk about this one. So this has taken the place of my blush brush, so I'm loving this one for blush. So again, you can, you know, it just gets right in there. Look how beautiful that is. You can use it to bronze, you can use it to you can do, I don't know, I think it's too big for a contour, to be honest, but I love it for a good blush. Beautiful. Next is this guy, and this is the E48, like I said, and that's like the baby sister, and I love this to powder the under eyes, or to powder also the lids after you apply a primer, to like kind of use translucent powder or a very light eyeshadow to set your primer in place. So it's, you know, it fits right. It's just, you know, you need a few swipes on the lids, but I really like it for under the eye. Look at that. Look how it just fits right under there. It's gorgeous. This one's a must for me. It just has many uses. Again, you can use it to contour because it is small enough. You use it for anything because it's so small that it can work for a variety of things. Again, blush, whatever you want it to do. So that's another must. Another few that I've kind of discovered and I play around with, those are probably my go-tos. Those 4 I use on a daily basis when I do my, my average makeup, which is, a little bit too much, but this is the M106 and it's not talked about at all. It's black bristles. It's pretty soft, not as soft as the Elite, of course, but softer than your average, drugstore, brushes. So what I've been loving this guy for, so this is the size of it, this is how it's looking, and that's how it's looking on my face. I've been really liking it for a bronzer, to kind of diffuse a bronzer, and I do love it for that. It's on the stiffer side, but there's a little bit of give, but it's pretty stiff actually. Look, if I go like this, it's really not going anywhere. It's so but you do, you have to push it in, and I like that. I like that precision, that it's not just like wobbly and like it's gonna come down on my face, because as you see, you want a harsh line, but I don't want for a bronzer to seep all over. I do want it to stay up there. So I have been loving this. This one's pretty cheap. I think it was like around $9. Next is this one. It's a dirty guy, so this side's been used, this side hasn't, so it's a lighter shade. And this is from the Rose Gold collection. That's why the ferrule is rose gold, and it's the R2. I want to say this was recommendation from some of the beauty YouTubers, and they use it for a bronzer. I think it's beautiful. It's really soft, very comparable to the Elite's, brushes. Again, it's how do I say this? It's tight around the sides, or it's narrow, I should say, and it's wider when you turn it, so it's multi-dimensional. Obviously the brushes are shorter on the outside, and then they get longer in the center. It's a big brush. Again, for somebody with a face that's small, smaller than the average face, it's a big guy, so it does get all over the place, and I feel like I don't have that much room to kind of wiggle it because it'll get on my nose pretty much. And so I kind of go back and forth with this, but I think it's beautiful. It's really wonderful for blush. I don't do blush on my forehead because I don't have much of a forehead, so I think if you have a bigger face with more bronzing and contouring that you need to do, I think that would be wonderful. Next is the R10. This is a very, very nice brush. It's white hair, which means it's goat hair, so it is a natural bristle, so it's going to apply a sheer wash of whatever you're gonna put on. I've used this as blush. It's wonderful for blush because it's precise. So if you're using a blush that's very sheer, I think this is beautiful because it kind of packs it on nicely, which I kind of tend to go towards that because I'm very heavy-handed with blush. I don't like using a pigmented blush because I end up looking like a clown. So something like this, because I am heavy-handed. So this is wonderful, again, because it's wider on the side and it's narrow on the side and it's wider on the other side. And the bristles are, it's kind of the same like I've talked about in previous brushes. They're shorter and then they get longer in the center. So because it's so small, you can use this for a good contour. So blush contour, I think it's wonderful for this guy. And last one for the face, This is just a cold favorite by the community, and it's the M501, and I just purchased this a week ago. I do want to say I've noticed some shedding, which I haven't on any of the brushes that I own by Morphe. So this is you know, I'm kind of just curious if it's just like, oh, you know, because it's right out of the package or what the deal is, but this is what people are using, or girls and guys are using, for a good highlighter. And I've used so many brushes to the point that I thought that I was doing my highlighter wrong, or I'm using the wrong shade or something, because it used to come out a strip. It was a strip. Always, I would try a little bit, I would try to more, I would try to put more to kind of diffuse it, and it looked like a hot mess, and my whole cheek was, anyway. So that's what people are using for their highlighter, and you just go, you know, just like that, and let me tell you, it gets the job done. It looks just like it's supposed to. It looks just like the girls or guys do it on their channels, and it's just diffused, and it's gorgeous, and it's beautiful. And if you use it with some Fix Plus, it's out of this world. It's just a beautiful brush. It's you know, it's just the size. It's really tapered, and then you just put it just like this, and then just move it around. I take it up here, right above the brow bone, down the bridge of the nose. I don't really do the Cupid's bow because I just don't have much of that, so it's a beautiful one. Let's get into the eye brushes because there are a ton. So I bought a lot of the Elite collection. I don't know if I bought the whole thing, because I do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 brushes from the older Elite collection. So we'll go through it, and I'll tell you what I love. I love them all, or what I'm using them for, or how I use them, and their sizes, because a lot of times I'm not sure how they look in real life when they're on the website, and sometimes I can't find them online, and if any YouTuber looked at those specifically. So the fact that I'm gonna mention them in my box, my description box below, hopefully others can find them to kind of see what they look like before they make an order for them. So I'll start with let me start with an odd one that I'm loving. So this is the E10. So I think they still have them, but they just look different. Like I said, the colors of the Elite collection just changed. So and I think it's like, I think it's just amped up. Like, I think it'll be better. The E10. So this is like a concealer brush. If you can see, it's very stiff. And that's how it looks. So it's on the bigger side. It's a pretty big guy. You can probably use it down here for your face. I use it mainly for my eyes, so I do things like I've used it with a MAC paint pot where you put it all over. I've used it if you're carving out your eyes for a cut crease. I've used it for that. I've used it to pack on shadow on the lid. So multi-use for this guy, and it's wonderful. Next this is again one of those brushes that I use every single day. It's the E11, and it's the I guess it's the angled, and I use it for brows. So I take it, you know, it's beautiful. It's pretty stiff, but it gives a little bit. It's beautiful for brows. I do use shadow for my brows rather than like a pencil or a pot, or you can even use a paint pot for this if you wanted to, but I do use a shadow, so it holds really good with a shadow. You can use it to line your if you're using a liquid eyeliner or a gel eyeliner, you could definitely use it for that. I haven't tried it with that, but I think it's gonna work like a dream. It's beautiful. So let's start smaller, and then, oh, actually, let's do this one. This is the E14, and it's a stubbly little guy. It's a short guy, and he is dense, or she is dense, whatever. So very, 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 you know, thickly packed in, and it's pretty short. I've used this to pack on shadows. I haven't really loved it for that for some reason, but you can use it for that. You can, I kind of love, because I have a big eyelid space, so I do like to put on shadow, to put on like a lighter shadow over here, like not like a highlighter, but like a matte highlighter shadow, if that makes sense, like what I have on today, to kind of have something on there so it's not like just blank. So I do love it for, that's what I really love it for. But it has multi-use, really, this guy. Like I said, it's densely packed, so and it's short. Next we'll use, we're not using anything, we're going to talk about this guy, and he is the E17. It's a short, he's short, and how do I say this? Ooh, short, and it's a smaller brush. Kind of looks like a little bit bigger than a pencil brush, so I do like to use it as a pencil brush. Kind of down here, I like to go in the crease to kind of buff a shadow that I don't want to diffuse up, if that makes sense. If I want to keep it more in the crease, or I want to pack like a black shadow on the corner, or a dark shadow, like a brown shadow, I can do that. It's a, I'd like to call it like it's a detail brush, so I do like it for that, but I would kind of describe it as a pencil brush, but not really. And it's domed, it's not pointy like you see, so it's domed. There you go. All right, so a few others that kind of look, these two kind of look similar. They look very similar to the eye, right? Very, very similar. So this guy is the E23, and this guy is the E27, E23, right? So the feeling of both of them, this one is, it's fluffier and it has more give, but this one's just slightly more stiffer. As you can see, it doesn't move with my hand as much as this one does, right? So this one is more fluffier. So this one, what I like to use it for is when I apply like a transition color, and I want to diffuse the edges. That's what I love this one for, because it's so fluffy. So I love to diffuse that. If you take a shadow up high and it's harsh between the transition and the lid, love to take that and just kind of seamlessly, like, you know, you're not taking any product or maybe something very light, and just keep buffing and buffing and buffing, and then you're gonna see it just diffuse out. And this is the E27. And then the more stiffer guy, you know, just to pack on a darker transition. You know, if you want to just get right in there and just pack and just kind of go in there, if you want to just darken the crease up, I kind of like it for that. And you just go back and forth. So again, you can do so much with this one. That's the E23. Next is, I love this guy. This is the E30. This is probably the it's pretty thickly packed in. So if you can, I'll get right up in there, I try. So as you can see, it's, you know, it's pretty tall and it's pretty thick. Again, it's wider on the side, it's narrow on the side, and it's wider when you turn it, and there is a lot of hair, and it's pretty stiff. It's not as flowy, obviously, because of the amount of bristles in there. What I like to do with this is sometimes I'll go in with a transition color. If, you know, I have like 5 minutes to put on something, and I'm just gonna put a transition color, and it gets it done very, very quickly. So that's pretty much what I use this guy for. I mean, you can use it for concealing right under the eye, you know, or spot concealing on the face again. So that one has multi-use. I love that. I mean, you could use any of the eye brushes for that, really. But next we have These are pretty similar, but not. We have the E22 and the E28. I want to try to go a little faster because I do have some more brushes, sadly, just like the M's. So the E22, it's tapered, as you can see. It's thicker, and then it gets, you know, it gets more narrow at the top. And I love this for, it's more detailed because it's tapered. So to go into the crease and to apply a darker shade that you don't want to get to get diffused out too quickly, so you can kind of work it in. So I love that for a technique like that. Again, this one is pretty tapered. And it's more tapered than this, so you can see that the bristles are much longer than the other guy. So this is the E28, and again, very detailed work. You can just pick up some dark shadow and then just go right in there and work it in, and it's gonna do that for you because it's tapered, and you know, it's not gonna get everywhere. Where the other one that we just spoke about, where is that one? Nope. Oh, it's this guy. Where this guy, because it's shorter, you're going to get a more diffused look with this, if that makes sense, because the shadow is going to get blown out a little bit more versus something that's longer, that's going to really stay in that location until you diffuse it. All right, so let's get, I only have one R brush, and that's the R37, and I love this one. As you can see, this is super fluffy. It's so fluffy, look at that. You know, it's just like all over the place, and I love this. You go in, again, if you want something to be diffused, you use this one. So if you go in with a very like caramelly, light caramel transition color, and you want to just be a little bit dark, you know, you can take this, anything that transition, this is gonna be, it's gonna work like a dream. It's super fluffy, and it's just gonna diffuse your shadow nice and evenly. All right, so let's talk about some of my favorite brushes to pack on eyelid shadows, right? So one of them that I've been loving is the M415, and this is tightly packed. So this guy is lovely to use. So I'm going to do a little comparison because people like that. So one of my favorites from before I was introduced to Morphe was the Sigma E55. Oh, that is, yeah, I did a green shadow a few weeks ago. No, I did it earlier this week actually for the first day back to work. So as you can see, why am I pointing over here? This guy, I love it, and it's one I've been using for years, and it's pretty, you know, it's short, but there's a lot of give. This guy is very similar, like very similar brushes, but it's just so densely packed. This is probably like 3 of these brushes put together, if that kind of gives you an idea. Very dense. I mean, this, you know, the bristles are not going anywhere. There is no give, so it's wonderful for those eyeshadows that you really need to just pick up from the pan and right to your eye, and you don't want to move around, and it's gonna apply the shadows like a dream. I do really love this one, and it's nicely priced also. All right, so that's the M415. So next we have the M167, and it's very similar. It's very similar to it. It's not as densely packed. I would say it's very comparable to the Sigma one that we just spoke about. So here it is. Very similar. So it is a little bit shorter. If I was to say, like, there's 3 of these, there's probably, you know, 3 of those Sigma ones, I would say there's probably 2 of them, or maybe 1.5. So what am I talking about? But it's also a beautiful one. You know, you can pretty much go in with any shadow, or this one I feel like if it has sparkle, go in with this one. That's just gonna take the sparkle right from your pan onto your eye. This one you can really use anything, to be honest. So those are wonderful to work with. One that I just bought that I haven't opened up yet, but this is the M224. I'm just gonna talk about it and just let you know. It looks like your typical concealer brush. Ooh, I'm getting the glare from the plastic. Very your typical concealer brush. So again, people use this. I mean, because it looks like a concealer brush, I would use it as a concealer brush where I can just carve out a cut crease, or I noticed that a lot of people are using them as shadow, like for your eyelid. So you can get double for that shadow for that brush, and I think it's like priced for like, I don't know if it's $1.99 or $2.99, something like that. So it's beautiful. Next, I'll talk about a detailed brush. This is the M213, and it's a baby one, and I love this for inner corner. That's it, or the brow bone. Anything that's detailed, this is your guy. Love it, very tiny. Next is the M506. This has been talked about. Again, I love this because it's so small. You can use it for, again, it's pretty comparable to a pencil brush, so use it under the eye. You can use it, I've used it in the crease to kind of create that like cut crease look. I use it to pack on a very dark color in the outer corner that I didn't want to bring in, too quickly. So I really love this guy. This is also another beautiful detail brush. I love how it's so thin and it just, flares out a little bit. It's really thin, this guy, really thin. And that's a M562. Love this when I have to go in and just do very minor details where it's like, I took my cut crease, the cut crease is just a little bit higher than I wanted to, or that dark color is not as pigmented. I'll go back with this. So it's a beautiful guy. I have a few duplicates, I'm sorry, so I'm just gonna look to match, so I'm not talking about them. I think I ended up buying 2 of these. I don't know if they were both in my cart, but they're both natural hair, of course. One's green, one's pink or something. They're the M518. I love this to diffuse a color. So obviously I did a green look where I wanted to, diffuse it up on the lid as well. And this one was like a pinky, looks like a pinky brownie. So again, these are beautiful to kind of, in this area right over here, like the lid, crease, and the upper lid, to diffuse any shadows. Again, beautiful. Another one is the M573. Pretty much the same thing, very comparable to that M518. Very, I don't know. Can you tell? You can barely tell the difference. This one, the bristles, they feel almost the same. This one I feel is like maybe more stiff. This one is a little bit tapered, and it does flare out a little bit more, as you can see. The bristles are shorter, and they get longer in the center, where this one I feel they're all the same length, right? Another one that's very similar, this is the M441. This one is just skinnier at the tip, at the ferrule, and it flares out, and the bristles are tightly packed, so you're not gonna get that much of a diffusion. I know everything is just with the different brushes are going to give you different applications, and when you're doing a look, it depends on what your vision is for that look. Do you want it more diffused? Do you want this color more diffused? Do you want this color more tightly packed? Do you want this in the crease? Do you want this to get up on your lid, to get up on your upper lid? Do you want it to, where do you want it, and how do you want to apply it? So I do like this one, the M441. It's one of those that kind of, it just stays right in there, and it won't get too diffused. Sorry, last two. So this is the M433. The M433, this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful brush. Very comparable to a love of mine from Sigma, and I've used this for many, 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 many years. And this is the E25. Oh my God, it's like rubbing off. And very comparable. They're sisters, they really are. And it's short. It's pretty giving. I mean, they feel almost exactly the same everything. I think this one, yeah. Ooh, the Morphe one's just a little longer, or taller, I should say. Just a little taller, like not even like a centimeter. So this one, it's nice to go in to put a shadow in your crease, so it's very detailed. Especially, again, it's narrow when you on one side, and then it's wider on the other side. So it's one of those you can go in this way to put in a shadow to kind of place it, and then you can turn it and wiggle your brush in to diffuse it. So multi-purpose with this one, it's wonderful. And last but not least, oh my God, thank you. This is the M504, and it's a bigger brush. I was trying to find a dupe for the Sigma E40. I'll hold them up together. They're not dupes. I was just trying to see if that was the one. I'm pretty sure Sigma has something, but I just haven't found it. This is my love. I go to this one every single day. This is what I used to apply my all over transition color. And does this one do it? Yeah. I mean, is it the same? No. But again, it's pretty big. It's pretty stiff. It's obviously it's not flared out. You can see it's tightly packed, and then it kind of stays together. It's fairly new, so I don't know if I rough it up, if it's going to open up and do what I want it to do. You know, it's staying together. I don't want to mess it up too much though. You know, it's not really opening up, as you can see. You can go in again if you're like, what I would use this for, if it's like 5 minutes and you're out the door type of thing, if you're gonna just take a crease color like a caramel and just put it all over and try to diffuse it, I think so. I mean, like I said, let me see how it kind of looks when you're putting it in there. I mean, the thing is, it's not very giving. I'm still trying to figure out what to use this guy for. You can kind of you can place your eyelid color with this one. I think I like it better than, what is that one that I showed you? I think it was in the Elite collection, that little stubbly one that I used for, you know, a year or so. I think this one might take place of that, just because this is bigger, so I feel like, you know, we can do that. I think this would be more efficient, but you could do a ton with this guy as well. So that, oh yeah, and some honorable mentions. So I love their sponges. This is just brand new because I don't think you want to see the other dingy one, but I do like this one, just because I do like to use, I love the Real Techniques because it's kind of like the other one that they have. So I use this one because it's just a different shape, and I do love how pointy it is over here. So these are wonderful. And one thing that I will rave about is their, yeah, it's a little greasy here, but their storage box or whatever case or whatnot, and it opens up. A little tip if you want, if you're traveling with your brushes and your brushes are a little dirty, and if you're anything like me and I freak out and I don't want to get the inside messed up with, you know, the products on your brushes, put a little tissue and look how like a bounty, because look at that, it kind of, because it's a little bit longer, so you also get the side, so the brushes won't hit up at the top and get it dirty. Little tips and tricks, y'all. So I love this when you're traveling, because I do hate when I get to where I'm going, and I don't even really travel much by airplane a lot, you know, just a lot of driving around. And you know, by the time I get to where I need to be, you know, the bristles are all messed up. I'll show you for an example. Where is this? I love, this is a Sigma guy, but it's not for this video. But if you can see, it's frayed on the side. There's like, you know, there's, and this has concealer on it, so it's keeping the bristles together. But as you can see, you can't see, but yeah, you can kind of see like there's a few bristles on the side that are kind of frayed out this way. There's like 3 and 3, and it's really aggravating me actually. I'm getting really upset over it because I regret that, because I do like when everything is kind of just together, because it can mess up your application if brushes are bent all sorts of ways and they don't return. And this was probably a year ago that that trip was taken. So I love you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. I will list all these brushes below, and if you have ideas for any other videos you want me to do, let me know. Bye.